we have to at least make an effort to try something. If it fails, it fails, but we can say we tried. Is there a way we can do it better? Is there a way we can do something different? And let's just see what happens.
Yep.
So, all right, well, out of respect for everyone's time, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, there's Hona. Let's get her in there. We'll wait one more second for her to pop in. So what I thought we would do today is just kind of give you guys an overview of what round one looked like, and then kind of dive into what our intention is for round two and what we see that one looking like. Round two is not going to be very different than round one. Round one we found has been very successful. And for those of you that weren't able to join us, or this is all new to you, round one was our department's attempt to put some kind of education out there to not only replace our conference hours, but to put together a collaborative effort to help the institute directors that hadn't gone online or didn't have any revenue coming in. So what we did was we partnered with 8 institute directors for round one. Sarah Schneider in Wyoming was one of the ones, and she's on this call too. So if there's any questions, as I get done with my little spiel here, or the info I'm going to give you guys, we can ask Sarah about her direct experience with it too. Hi, Hona. So what we did was partner with 8 of them, and we went ahead and put together 2-hour webinars once per week for 2 months. So we had an 8 series. Right now we are running number 7 this coming week and number 8 next week, and that'll be the end of series 1 or round 1. Each registration for these webinars was $50, and 99% of the money went back to the actual institute that was hosting the program. IIMC is doing all of the work behind the scenes in terms of handling registrations, running all of the logistics, setting the assessments up for those that want to use multiple choice assessments, as well as creating the certificates and distributing that through an automated platform called Flexi Quiz. So Flexi Quiz has been a great tool for us. There is an expense incurred by that one, but IIMC has been absorbing that cost as well. So what we're seeing for round 2 is a very, very similar format. We want to give all the money back to the institutes to continue to help and support your missions. And then what you all choose to do with that revenue is completely up to you. Some of the institutes are putting it right back into programming. Some of it are sharing it with the association that they're servicing. Others are creating scholarships with it. So kind of depends on what it is that you are looking to do with that revenue. Once we write that check to you, it's completely up to you. So the only difference in this round 2, from round 1 is that IIMC does need to increase that amount of money that we are taking as our administration fee. For the first round, at $50 a registration and and 100 seats, we brought in $5,000 in revenue. We kept $40 of that to cover the cost of the Zoom technology, the Flexi Quiz technology, and that's pretty much it. Our finance department brought to our attention this week that we're paying about $200 per session in PayPal credit card processing fees, so transaction fees. So what we're going to do is go ahead and propose that IIMC takes $240 just to cover all of those costs for us. That way we're not actually taking anything out of pocket, and we can make sure that the finance department is happy with us getting those PayPal credit card processing fees covered. So what that means is that $240 will come out of that $5,000 in registration fees, but all the rest will be sent in a check directly to you. We usually put that check request in within a week of the session happening, once all those PayPal fees and everything are taken care of, and we'll send that check out. So are there any questions before we go a little bit farther about the revenue that you would be receiving by participating in this program? Feel free to just unmute yourself, you guys. This is very casual. I want to make sure you get your questions answered. No? Okay. So what we're looking at, round 1 wise, we've had every single session sell out in less than 30 minutes. I think the longest one that we had was like 33 minutes. So the demand for these programs is huge. Every time we send these out, and Karen, I apologize if none of you have met Karen before. I think we all have, but Karen Lee, let me spotlight her really quick. This is Karen, you guys. If we haven't met her, I apologize for not doing this earlier. But Karen is our communications coordinator, and she's working side by side with me to help run all of the technology for these programs. She's fantastic. So Karen can attest to the fact that when we send these out in the e-briefings, which is what Karen does for us, the responses that come back are insanely desperate. So we have people that want to know, where's the registration link? What time is it coming out? We actually joked that these tickets are hotter than Beyonce concert tickets. So we had to put a time and finally let people know these are going to be released on Thursday at 11 a.m. That way people didn't panic trying to scramble for only one of 100 seats. So the demand for these programs is huge, but just because the demand is there, we wanted to make sure that we didn't offer just anything to put out a program that may not be top-notch, may not be the best quality, may not be the best version of the program. So originally, when we ran these programs by the institute directors and the groups that we wanted to be involved the first time, we were under the impression that we could run these as Zoom meetings, we would have breakout room features, all kinds of interactive engagements. And when it actually came down to it, Zoom continued to update their platform, which made us pivot quite often, going back and forth with, here, we can do this, and then next week, nope, we can't do that at all. So we've really had to progress and learn as we go. But with adding in a registration fee to it, our only option became webinars as opposed to meetings. So if you've ever run a Zoom webinar behind the scenes, the controls that we have in terms of options and features are slightly different. So the only way we can run a paid registration fee through Zoom is to have a Zoom webinar. So with webinars, there's two types of attendees. We have the panelist attendees and we have the regular attendees. So what we've had to do to keep this video engagement going, which is really what we're looking for. We want to see all 100 participants on camera. We want to see them nodding, shaking their heads. We want to see them laughing, really paying attention. So what we did was kind of have to pivot, but we turned everybody over once they joined the webinar into a panelist. So we have 100 panelists on these meetings, which was a little risky on our part, but it allowed us to make sure that we had video, which was the biggest, most important part of this. Our facilitators didn't want to speak to a black screen. There's no way to engage or to gauge learning or engagement at all if it's just a black screen. So it was really important for us to find a way, and we did pretty successfully in our opinion. It was quite of a risk to be able to give people access to the controls down below and everything else, but it was really, really good way, and it's been very successful so far. We haven't had any issues with people pushing things, screen sharing, doing anything that they're not supposed to be doing. So it's been wonderful. One of the other options that we have on these webinars is that we can record them. So what we've been doing is recording the sessions, not so much so we can monetize them or so the institutes can monetize them, but it allows us to send a replay link to anyone that's having technical issues. Our biggest concern was that our group of clerks are not always the most tech savvy group in general. So if there was a microphone issue, if there was a camera issue, if there was something that just didn't work internet-wise, we could send them the replay link. That way, all 100 people that paid for those sessions are able to go ahead and watch that session in its full replay and then still take the assessment at the end. We didn't want to have to deal with issuing any refunds or I couldn't get my money back. So this was a really good option, and it's been a really successful way for us to make sure that everybody got exactly what they paid for. So we have that option as we move into round 2. We can continue to record those sessions, but we definitely want to get buy-in from everybody that wants to participate institute director-wise to make sure that you are comfortable with that. Now, the other option that comes with recording is that we can send you as institute director a downloadable version that you can share with your facilitator. So if you guys wanted to use it as part of your highlight reel, put a quick clip on your social media or on your website, just some way to show the different types of formats that we're offering or that you are offering as part of your institute, you have that option as well. We didn't discuss during the first round monetizing those sessions or turning them into an online course at all. Being completely transparent, I have very little experience with taking a course from a live version to a full-blown online course altogether. We have a company that we work for or that we work with that does that for us, but personally, I've never done it myself. So I don't have any experience in terms of how that would work, what that would look like with IIMC trying to do that, with you trying to do that. So if that's a conversation that you all want to have in terms of you want to record it and turn it into a resource for yourself and your institute, we can continue to have that conversation. I just may not have very many answers for you in terms of the hows and the whats. So just know that that's an option that we are open to this round. If anybody wants to participate in that conversation, just let me know, okay? Any questions so far about recording, the video engagements, the number of participants, things like that? Anything so far? No? Okay, perfect. Okay, so with IIMC programs and with institute programs, as you all know, we do require that learning assessment. So learning assessments are 100% up to you as the institute director. If you get on board and doing one of these programs, I want to reassure you that this isn't going to be a straight IIMC run program. This is very collaborative, and I want you to be as involved as you want to be. We are going to do all of the support behind the scenes for you in terms of the logistics that we talked about. We will bend over backwards to make sure that this is an easy experience, a smooth experience, a good platform for you to deliver content as a representative of your institute. However, we want to make sure that you are as involved as possible. So Sarah can tell us in a little bit here. She was very involved in the actual session itself. She gave an intro to the institute, an intro to the facilitator, sent out feedback after the session, monitored the chat box during the session, got really involved. We want you to be as involved as you want to be, including the assessments. So if you choose a multiple choice assessment option as your delivery method, we will 100% run that for you guys behind the scenes. With us as staff, we have very, very little staff, and unfortunately we can't review essays, short answers, K-TAPs, any of that stuff, but multiple choice, we can definitely set that up as an automated quiz. So the way Flexi Quiz works is you and your facilitator would send us anywhere between 10 and 20 questions, multiple choice with an answer key. We set that up, and I can actually screen share. Let me do that. Let me pull up our Flexi Quiz account here. Let me share this stuff with you. Oops, let's go this one. So Flexi Quiz is just a way to put up multiple choice assessments. This program is very inexpensive, and if you're looking for a way to do multiple choice assessments for your institute or for an online program you're running now, this one's been fantastic. So let me open Arizona. Let's look at that one. So what would happen is we would have 10 to 20, completely your choice on how many questions. You send those over, and I go ahead and set this up in this type of format. We also put together co-branded certificates. So those would look like, let me pull it up here. Those would look very similar to this. I know it's not as big on the screen as I would like, and I don't think I can zoom in here. But we would be putting together IIMC branded certificates and university or institute branded certificates. So when you fill out the proposal form, it's going to ask for branding, logos. It'll ask for all of the content that we need to create this certificate for you, as well as a bunch of other information that we'll talk about in a few minutes. But what it does is it lets us get all that set up and then put together a custom link. So this link that you see here is what the participants will receive right when the webinar is over. We've been dropping this in the chat box for them. That way they can just click on it, run over to take their assessment, and they're done with the program once they pass that assessment. So what we've done with this one is set it the passing percentage at 70%. So you got to pass it 7 out of 10, whatever it may be, but they get 3 opportunities to pass it. So if for some reason they don't pass it, they will get feedback on the question answers, and they can come back and reattempt to take it again. We haven't had anybody fail the quiz yet at all. So the content that's been given has definitely covered all of the assessment questions for each of the 6 that we've offered so far. So once they pass that certificate that we looked at will automatically be sent over to them. They'll be able to either download it from an email, or it'll pop up on their screen, an option to download the certificate right there. So as institute directors, some of our IDs have wanted a copy of who completed the assessment. That way, on behalf of your institute, you can keep it in whatever registration portal or point tracking portal that you're using on your end. So we can download the report, which is great. This analyze button or tab up top gives us all the information on who passed the assessment. You can reprint their certificates if you need to. We can send those out. We can export this registration list. And it gives us all of the information that we need to make sure we understand who took that assessment. So if we choose to go this route, you are welcome to utilize this tool. We're happy to keep covering the costs for it and then building that into the admin fee that we take at the end. But this one has been really, really nice. The other options though that we do have are if you want to do a KTAP or you want to do a paper, 2,000 word essay, if you want to do whatever assessment method you are comfortable with, you are welcome to do that. So I know some of our institute directors didn't want to do the multiple choice, didn't feel like it was enough in terms of enough engagement, enough really getting them involved after the fact. So whatever your preference is fine. If it's something outside of that multiple choice, we would just ask that you would be the one that reviews it or your facilitator does and then handle the certificate distribution. So as long as you are on board with that, whatever method you want is perfect. We can help get out that assessment tool to the participants if you want. We can do it during the live webinar. We can do it immediately after. You can email it out to them with instructions. You can send a template that you want me to send out to all the participants. Whatever works for you guys, we will be as flexible as we can. My only word of caution is going to be that people are expecting that multiple choice. So if we choose to go another route, we will just advertise that in the session description way ahead of time. That way we know going into it that we've at least said this is going to be a KTAP assessment. This will be a multiple choice off the online, whatever it may be. So when you fill out that proposal form, or if you fill out that proposal form that we sent over, there's the 4 options in there. What type of assessment do you want to complete or do you want to use for your session? If your option isn't in there, just let me know. Pick one and then drop me an email and let me know. And we'll work with you guys to make sure that you're 100% comfortable with whatever method you're choosing on behalf of your institute. Okay. Are there any questions about assessments? Anything so far that we've talked about? No? Okay, you guys are too easy. All right. I'm used to questions, so this is not normal. All right. Well, the next round, Karen and I are going to look into, because Zoom continuously changes things, we're planning right now on using Zoom, running these in the exact same format that we did round 1. But because we're looking a couple weeks out now, meaning the beginning of August as a potential start, we're going to go in and look just to see if there's any upgrades coming, anything coming down the pipeline that we need to know about to see if Zoom is still the best platform. People are pretty familiar with Zoom. We know majority of the municipalities that are running virtual meetings are using Zoom. So it's a good platform because of that familiarity. People kind of know what they're doing when they get in there. There's not as much deer in the headlights when they log on. The very first session and probably the second session, Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, we had quite a few microphone issues, camera issues. People didn't know what start video, stop video meant. So we've gotten, as we've progressed into numbers 4, 5, and 6, where Karen and I kind of chat on the side and go, are you having any issues? No, me either. Okay, is everything okay? This is weird. It's just running smooth. So I think people have just gotten more familiar with it, more comfortable with it, and it's not as scary as it was in sessions 1, 2, and 3. So we'll continue to look at Zoom, but if for some reason we come up with another idea that may be better or a new feature that Zoom runs that's still pretty similar, we will let you guys know. It won't be last minute for sure. So if something comes up in the next week or 2 at minimum, we'll take a look at it and send it over to you guys for review if you want to be on board with this program. Okay. So the dates that we are looking at right now, round 1 ran every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time to noon Pacific time. So 2 hours. I'm thinking right now, and if there's other ideas or other thoughts, please feel free to chime in. I'm thinking right now that we can continue with that same model just because our members have kind of had it ingrained in their brain that webinars Wednesday, 10 a.m. So right now my thought is, in my intention is to stay with that method, stay with that timing. The announcements though for these webinars, we have taken one at a time being released each week. Karen and I bounced around ideas in the beginning and said, do we just open up registration for all 8 at one time and they go in as fast as they can and just register for 8 sessions? Or do we want to do it one at a time? And ultimately we settled on one at a time just to keep them excited about that next week coming, giving them something to look forward to, but also just to give it a fair chance. If you didn't get that first email that had all 8 registration links, are we penalizing people by not releasing them again one at a time? So I'm thinking right now, and you guys can definitely chime in, that one at a time would work. Wednesday, the session is live. So what we've been doing is opening the registration up at 11 a.m. on the Thursday before. So let's say this Thursday, we would open up for the webinar happening on the 22nd. So it gives people a good 6 days to register, but we really need 30 minutes. They'll sell out in 30 minutes. So it's enough time for us to be able to put together the registration report, send that over to whoever the Institute director is that's hosting this webinar, letting you know where exactly in the world they are from. And in terms of where they're from, 99% of the members have been from the US, regions 1 through 9. We've had a handful of Canadians that are joining us, but nobody overseas. I think the time change that we've had across the pond just doesn't work. And by the time they get the emails, those 5,000 members outside of the US get those emails, they're already sold out anyways. So we're going to be looking at creating something specifically for Region 11 down the road. Just we haven't seen them participate in this program. So in terms of language barriers or anything else that we would have with an international audience, we don't really have to worry about that one at this point. Now that may change as we get into round 2. We may have participants that want to pop in, but as of right now, just with what we've experienced, nothing from Region 11. Okay. So in terms of timing, if there's anything that anyone wants to chime in on and thinks that Wednesdays don't work, Thursdays aren't good, one at a time, all 8 together, if there's any feedback, please don't hesitate to unmute yourself and let me know. But otherwise, that's kind of the intention that we have behind the scheduling. Sarah, go ahead. I see you unmute.
Yeah, I think keeping it the same is, and in fact, I was so impressed with that's what I proposed for our fall institute, since we're going virtual. So we're going to do ours on Thursdays, but and yeah, with 100 people selling out in 30 minutes, what my concern is if you went to people being able to register for all 8, life might happen, and you may have a few people drop off that were registered for it. Well, those seats are seats somebody else could have had. And so that would be my caution there. So I would say keep doing what you're doing. It seems to be working. Obviously, there's quite the response to this. We're hoping that carries over to our statewide as well. And we are going to open to members for 2 weeks first. So our Wyoming clerks will have first dibs on ours because we were afraid it could sell out, and we do want to give them first opportunity. I will say that I went to the 10 question multiple choice. We had been doing a KTAP here in Wyoming, and I knew I could not manage 100 of those. There's just no way. We're short staffed like everybody else. So and I was really glad I did. I found out after I'd made that choice that there was really positive feedback at the last WAMCAP board meeting from people who had taken those assessments online. I don't know if it was all through this summer's virtual or if it was some of the others, but they actually were really pleased with it because then they're done, they turn it in, they don't have to think about it again, and their certificate comes right to them. So I'm gonna keep going with that. In fact, this morning we're talking about, it's cheap. $20 a month is, my gosh, I had our mail person, it cost me $1.20 to send one certificate. So I think I'm hoping it'll be great for us as well. We're certainly going to give it a try for this.
Good. Yeah, I know the Virginia Institute is also using it. There's quite a few of the other institutes that have not only modeled the assessment method, and again, our intention with the multiple choice isn't to water down that assessment requirement. It's not to make it easier. It's to streamline and take a little bit off of everybody's plate. So the content is still there. If you don't watch that webinar, you're not going to pass it. If you're not paying attention, there's no way you're going to pass it. So it's not an easier in terms of the actual assignment itself. It's just logistically easier on all of the parties that are involved. So if there's any concerns about a multiple choice assessment, you guys feel free to ask. I'm happy to weigh in on what I know, and we can pull up some research too. But if there's a better way to do it, we're also completely open to this one. Karen and I looked at quite a few different tools to see what would be the best for us. I was even willing, and I look back and I go, oh, Ashley, you're asking for so much more than you should have. When we do our conference at IIMC, we put together manual transcripts. So we take every scan anytime somebody walks in a door, and we end up with tens of thousands of scanning line items in Excel. We manually manipulate these, break it all down, track somebody when they went to the bathroom, to the phone, to go get a snack. It's exhausting. It literally takes me 3 weeks from the time we get back from conference to the actual dissemination of all those certificates. And I was willing to take that on for this one as well. Luckily, it's only 100 people, but even then, I look at 100 people times 8, creating all of those certificates, transcripts, whatever it may be, and it just didn't work right now with as much other work as we have outside of this virtual institute. So this has been a great tool for all of us, but if there's something else that's out there, we are so open to hearing about it. So if you know of anything, please let us know. Joan, I have you unmuted. You want to say anything?
Sure. So Sarah, thank you for sharing. It's good to hear your feedback and your experience. And I would agree as far as the registration. I like the idea of keeping it the way that you've been doing it for the reasons that you've said, Ashley, and that Sarah noted also. I'm curious about, I just had a thought about the multiple choice, the quizzes. And I like the system. Obviously, that's a slick system and very helpful, very beneficial. So for me, that would show the knowledge transfer for them, that they heard something and they recall it. The benefit that I see to a KTAP, in addition to a quiz, the benefit of a KTAP would be getting them to take that knowledge. How are they going to use it? How are they going to apply it back in a work setting and situation, right? So I guess maybe I'm the evil institute director. I'd almost like to see both, the quiz and the KTAP, because one, again, it shows they heard it. They answered a multiple choice question, which is good, right? You have to hear it to be able to own it and then use it. But then, kind of push them to put on paper how that applies and transfers back to the office. So that's just some feedback. I'm not looking to overly tax somebody, but the real learning comes when you get to apply the knowledge that you've gained, right? So that was just a thought that came to me as Sarah was talking. But I definitely, this Flexi Quiz thing is definitely a good option, and the tools that it gives you to make things easier after the administration. Sarah, after my institute, I have usually close to 200 KTAPs to review. And my university helps me with the certificates, so that's great. They do a merge for me. I let them know, yes, we can move forward with all the certificates, and they do that. But I do review each and every one of those KTAPs, and it is a lot of work. It's very time consuming. So depending on what your workload is, I completely understand how 100 can sound very overwhelming. So I'm kind of in the middle on both of those. I see the benefit of the quiz, but I also like the application of a KTAP. So it's just food for thought. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're totally right, Joan. There's no disputing that. Yes, it's the recall, which is great. The difference, though, I think in Sarah's session, out of anything else, is that Sarah's facilitator was phenomenal in the fact that he put in so much prep time beforehand and created a ton of. It was on reflective leadership. And this session had, I think we had 7 worksheets, I think is what it was, that they had to work through as they went. So
Oh,
this
great.
one, it's very easy. We've had communication sessions that true and false answers, you know, multiple choice out of 4 options. Which one did the facilitator say? So it is very easy to just do the recall. But the thing that I really enjoyed about Sarah's session, Wyoming, was that this individual put in 7 worksheets that they had to work through. That's a lot more along the lines of what you're talking about. So this one was very personal, and we actually ran out of time. We ran over, I think, by about 10 minutes trying to fit some of this stuff in at the very end. So this is an option too. If there are worksheets, if there are things that you want them to have, or action plans that you want them to be working through as we go, totally okay. And I highly encourage that with all the facilitators that we have. Send them the PowerPoint ahead of time so they can take notes. Send them anything that you want them to work through so they can do that. And Wyoming was the only one that took us up on that option. The feedback that we got from the participants, though, was that they loved having all of that stuff because it gave them somewhere to immediately reflect on their own experience, their own thoughts, and do exactly what you said, Joan, and put it to paper. So I don't know if there's a way, I'm sure there is. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything, a way to incorporate it into the actual assessment before they get their certificate. But it may be a good balance that we have these worksheets. Maybe they have to go log on somewhere, email a question. I don't know. We can find some way to find that balance if that's something that's really important to you.
Okay, thank you.
Just know we're open to that. Yeah, absolutely. I think it was one of the most well-rounded sessions that we had. Definitely the most personal in terms of introspective, look at yourself, how you're doing this, and what are you going to do moving forward. Now that you're aware of how you are and what you're doing, what are you going to do moving forward? So I personally loved it. I know Karen was really excited, and we actually offered to share it with, we showed it to Chris Shelby, our executive director, and said, this one was really good, Chris. You got to look at this one. This is right up your alley. So take a look at it and let us know what you think about it if we want to talk to Sarah and Dr. Whips about doing future work with IIMC. So Sarah, FYI, we're talking about you.
Well, that's pretty exciting. What I was going to say, because I know every college and university has their own, whether it's colleague or we use AugustSoft, everybody has their own registration and system. So what I will do for that, in order, because I'll still have transcripts available, that's the point I'm getting to for folks, is it won't just be their completion of the test. They will also get, because I'm non-credit, they'll get a non-credit transcript, because I can just, once I get those assessments back, once I see who's passed, it'll be real easy for me to go in and fill their grades in. So they're still going to get that transcript, which can lend a lot of weight for the participant for job applications or for promotions, those kind of things. So that will still be there. But I did get a wild hair when you were talking, Joan, and because we're smaller numbers, we're not hundreds of people, you know, we run about 75, is maybe, and we talked about this a little bit with the board, is doing some sort of follow-up with small groups. So maybe with a mentor program or just regionally, after a session, have a Zoom small meeting and just get some, you know, have people talk about how are you using this? Did it work for you? I think Angie's still on. Angie, I might volunteer the board to help facilitate those. But that would help with the interaction that we're missing by not being in person. So just a wild hair that just popped into my head right now. So I don't know what that looks like. And I'll be honest, you know, I was flat terrified to do this, wasn't I, Ashley? I was so nervous. But because we're going to do this for fall, the IIMC session was my great big guinea pig. And because of Karen and Ashley, I survived. And now I know I can do this. It'll look a little different because I think we're going to go with the meeting platform just so we have that breakout option. But I mean, these two made it so easy. You know, I went home and told my husband, I said, I learned so much, I don't even know what I've learned, and I don't feel like I did much of anything. So it really, it went very smoothly. I don't know how it could have gone better. I truly don't. They don't go that smoothly with our 8 staff members. So to get 100 people on and not have something fall apart was pretty darn spectacular.
Well, thank you, Sarah. That was our goal. This program, I know in the beginning when we first started talking about collaboration, IIMC wanted to put something out there. I know we were met with a lot of resistance. There's a lot of the competition and sharing revenue, and there was a lot of questions. This is the first of its kind, you guys. We've never done this before. We've never had a program where everybody's collaborated, everybody's shared resources. So obviously anything new, anything that is change is going to be scary for us all. And being completely transparent, I never ran a webinar in my life. So as soon as we said, okay, we got to do something, you guys, we have to step up. IIMC cannot just sit by and let all these people that need help not feel like we hear them, not feel like we're still striving behind the scenes to service them, to give them something to keep them moving forward. So all of this was brand new for us too, but our shared desire to keep servicing those members is what made this program so successful. The Institute directors stepped up, the facilitators have all been phenomenal, but IIMC wanting to help not only the Institute's revenue-wise, but let's just keep those people learning, keep them engaging. Even just seeing each other on camera has been huge for some of these smaller municipalities that don't get to see anybody, don't have the technology to have virtual meetings. They're sitting there alone. So this was a really good way to just put out that goodwill effort to try to help everybody collaborate and really work together. So with that being said though, because this is the first of its kind for all of us, it's definitely still a living, breathing project that can change, can transition, can pivot. So what we're doing now may not be what's the best version going into round 2. It may not be if there is a round 3 or the need for a round 3, who knows at this point. But this is something that there's nothing written in stone is what I'm getting at. So if we want to change something, we want to try something new, our education department here really believes in being innovative and trying things. If we fail, we fail, but we're not afraid of failure. So if there's a new way that we want to do this, or a new tool we want to build in, or we don't do assessments until this person has logged on to this other platform and written something that we wanted to write, I am 100% open to that. Let's try things and get innovative and creative together. And the fact that it's different states, different locations really makes this an interesting program, because people get to see what other universities, what other colleges, what other institutes are all about, what other states are all about. We have people that travel from state to state, institute to institute, those ones that just want to pick up the points. But this is a really good chance for people to get exposed to individuals and styles of learning and styles of presentation that they wouldn't normally be exposed to. So let's take advantage of all of the different opportunities that we have here, not just to get people points, but the collaboration and the stepping outside of all of our comfort zones. We can all support one another to do so. Sarah told me no twice before she finally said yes. And I finally just begged and said, Sarah, I will be here right with you. Please do this with me. Please do this with us. And I'm so, so glad and so, so grateful that she did, because it's been by far one of my favorite sessions that we've offered. The amount of feedback we got, the amount of response we got, just the pleasure of working with that facilitator was something that we may not have had the experience of should Sarah have said no. So think about it, you guys. Again, nothing is written in stone. We are so open to being fluid with this one and trying some new things. And if there are any questions let me know, let Karen know. Doesn't matter what it is, even if they're tough questions or concerns you have that you're afraid to ask, please ask. I would rather have you give us info, let us know where your thoughts are than to hold on to that information. So Hona, I know you unmuted. What do you got going on?
I cannot find the list of what has already been done. So what the round one sessions were.
Okay.
Could you send that out?
Yeah.
And then I guess my other question is just, do we consult once we think we have the facilitator, the topic, we work with IIMC on that?
Yeah, the way that it would work, and I'll definitely send out a recap list for the Institute so far. I can tell you though, if you want it immediately, go on our website, iimc.com. Under the Education tab, just hover over and you'll see the drop down for online learning opportunities. You'll see a little graphic on there that has the calendar with each of the dates and the session titles. So if you don't want to wait for me, it's right there. But yeah, the way that it would work is you'll go ahead and think about your facilitator for one. You gotta either hire somebody or you can totally facilitate yourself. Most of our, I think of the 8 that we offered round one, I think we have one that's facilitating herself as Institute Director. So either way is fine. Obviously, if you're facilitating yourself and that's a skill that you have that you're comfortable with, that revenue just can be spread even further. If we're not paying a facilitator, you know, obviously it goes back into the university's pocket, institute's pocket, whatever program you have set up. So what you'll do is select a facilitator and then go with a topic and a description. The form, let me pull it up here. I'll actually get it up on the screen so we can take a look at what it is that we're asking for. Can you guys see my screen okay? Okay, so here's the form that we're going to be asking for is your name, just so we know who you are, obviously, but give us the session title, the session description, and a solid 1 to 2 paragraphs would be great. Bullet points are not always the easiest way to advertise, so give me something written. That way we can give it a little bit of teaser and get butts in those seats. Max registration. Oh, this is a good point, one that I completely forgot to put in there. Max registration. In the beginning in round one, we had some institute directors that wanted to keep it to 30 people. Let's start small. And when we had the conversation during the last info meeting like this one, we had to remind the institute directors that we service 15,000 members. So if we start advertising session seats of 30 in numbers, we're going to have riots. We already have riots at that 100 number. However, because we did say that these are your sessions with our support, if you are not comfortable with 100, please tell us. You do not have to have 100. Webinars without the video, we have a 500 person capacity. So technically we could have up to 500 non-interactive people. That wasn't our intention with the program, but it is an option. However, if you want to keep it to 50 or 30 and really have them unmute themselves, talk, you got to share something, we can do that as well. So again, nothing is written in stone. We're just giving you guys kind of the best practice of what we've done so far and what we've learned so far. So if you're comfortable with 100, the interactive video webinars, we can only have 100 panelists. That's our biggest restriction. So the panelist, again, is a video connection. So when we take them from attendee to panelist, Karen and myself count as panelists. You as institute director would count as a panelist. Your facilitator would count as a panelist. So we can have 100 panelists. With that being said, not everybody has the video connection. No matter how many times we advertise, you must have a video connection. There are a handful of people that choose not to turn on the camera. I didn't know every option that every excuse that we've heard. So what we do is we leave those individuals as attendees and we make everybody else a panelist. So we've been able to hover around that 100 number without any issues. If for some reason we do run into an issue, we have that replay link for whoever isn't able to get on as a panelist video. We're sending them that replay link so they can watch it again, okay? So think about max registration number. There's nothing written in stone. However, that 100 panelist number is kind of what we're working with for videos. You get your preferred assessment method. If there's an other in here, feel free to click other and just send me an email letting me know what it is that you guys are thinking of doing. We're open to it. Presentation date. Now, I give you guys the option of all of the Wednesdays. These are Wednesdays in August. Now, if we get these done, meaning the content, all the proposals filled out in the next, let's say by the end of next week. So what does that bring us into? The 20 something. I would say 2 weeks is where we would need to be finalized with content, at least title, description, institute. That way we can create the little graphic that's going to have the lineup, all the sessions that are going to be offered, and start teasing it. Again, we won't need to have everything finalized until the week before your session actually happens. So think about when your facilitator is available, when you're available, when your workload is the lightest, and give me your top 3 options. I will do my very best to accommodate everybody's first or second option. However, we did have, I think, two institutes that had pretty good overlaps last time, and we finally just had to say, somebody's got to compromise, guys. What do you want to do, or we're going to pick? So it worked out. Everybody was able to fulfill their obligation and their chosen date or their appointed date. So just kind of keep that in mind. Select the top 3, and we will do our very best. If there's something that you absolutely cannot do, I will work with you, but we have to be respectful that there's 8 of us. We're going to have scheduling conflicts shooting for 8 days. Okay. We'll give your facilitators information, their bio. These will all be advertised on the webinar landing page. So that landing page will have the registration form, and all of this stuff will be there. We'll advertise a photo of your facilitator's name, their bio. Facilitator's email address won't be advertised. That's just for me to be able to send their panelist invitation and communicate with them. So we'll set up a practice run for each of the sessions about a week before, a few days before. We'll all connect and go over for about an hour. Just a trial run, make sure the facilitator knows how to use the tech. We'll go over the layout of the sessions, how they line up, who speaks and when. So we'll go over all of those details during the trial run. It'll ask for your logo. That way we can create that collaborative certificate or that co-branded certificate. We will also ask for a W-9 from your institute. Whoever you want us to mail that check to, we'll get that from you. That way we can get that out. Right now, sessions are happening on Wednesday. We're putting in the check requests the following Monday. And then our finance department is only in the office once a week, putting together checks. So they'll get that out to you guys, usually within 2 weeks. All right. So Hona, yeah, once you get whoever you want to work with, just start filling this stuff out. This will get emailed over to me in this type of format, in a little grid, giving me everything that you guys need, and we'll be able to start assigning dates, looking at dates, what topic is going to fit well. Now, if we have duplicate topics, that's the other thing that we may run into. There may be a bunch of facilitators that want to offer the same content, the same session. So we'll take a look and we'll work with you guys and reach out to both of you, whoever the duplicates are, and just say, hey, we have 2 sessions on communication. Does anybody have a second option? Does anybody want to change their option? We want to make sure it's a good, well-rounded program content-wise. So if there's things that need to be flexible, we'll be flexible as long as you guys are flexible with us. All right.
And to just clarify, because I know I'll be asked by whomever is the speaker, they can't go in breakout groups, but have other sessions asked questions, asked for feedback? I mean, how are they actually talking back and forth as panelists?
Good question, and I apologize for not going over that sooner. We don't have breakouts. That's the one thing that we were really disappointed that went away. We had to either decide, do we charge a registration fee instead of giving these away for free? Or do we stick with the breakouts? So free sessions, we can have breakouts. Paid sessions, we can't. So we had to choose, and the revenue from the institutes was much more important than the breakout at that point. So what would happen is the chat box has been a huge, huge feature. We've utilized polling options. I don't know if you guys can see on the bottom if you have a polling option, but polling has been really, really fun. Polling has been a good way for the facilitators to send me maybe, I don't know, 3, 5, 6 questions that they want to have as a poll throughout the session. They kind of get built into the agenda. And it can be something as simple as, what learning style are you? What communication style are you out of these 4 choices? So similar to a multiple choice, but you just select one. But the neat thing about the polling is that it pops up on their screen when I launch that for the facilitator. It pops up on their screen. So it kind of changes them from, oh, I'm just listening, I'm kind of, you know, taking notes, the mindset that they're in, and they go, oh, something's up on the screen, I got to do something. And it gets them a little bit more engaged, and they see other people doing that same thing. We give them about a minute to fill out each poll, and then we share that feedback live right there on the screen. So you see the percentages, the sliding scales. That one's been really nice. The chat box has also been fantastic. And as Institute Director, we've been asking everybody to monitor that chat box for us and kind of be your facilitator's right hand, where you say, hey, so-and-so has a question from Wyoming, whatever it may be, and the Institute Director can help monitor and assist the facilitator in answering those questions. We've given every opportunity for people to raise their hand, either the little blue hand in Zoom, or just raise your physical hand if you have questions or want to talk. I will tell you that people don't take us up on that one as much as we were hoping. And I don't know if it's camera and 100 people can see you and they know they're being recorded, or if they just literally don't have anything to say that they feel is that important to go on camera. So I know the camera is quite intimidating for quite a few people, but we have had a couple of sessions where they had to write a story and they had to share, and they were some of the neatest moments throughout this program is when people actually got on and said, here's what I'm struggling with, here's what I'm doing, and actually shared and opened up. So I think it just takes the right kind of facilitator, the right type of session to open that up in people, but I wish it would happen more than it has, being completely honest. Okay.
Ashley, are you, and there could be a couple of thoughts on this, but are you hoping to have all new and different content for round 2, or do you want to repeat for the people who weren't able to get on and get registered and run round 1?
I would love to see new content. Doesn't have to be completely different, but I would love to see new content just to keep it fresh. If we get to the point where there's the demand where this session was so good, can we run it again? My only concern is that there are those people out there that are immediately jumping on anything and everything. And I don't want to see those people register and take a session that they've already taken just to try to get the credit. So if we're at least offering new content, there's no way that those people can duplicate. If we had 500 seats, 1,000 seats, I would say, okay, let's offer it again. Let's really make an impact and reach these people. But because it's new, or because it's such a small group, I would prefer to see new content, but I'm completely open to options, to discussions. I don't want to shut down any idea just because this is also new and fresh for all of us. So I don't know if that helps, Sarah, but.
It doesn't, it makes perfect sense. And I do have another instructor. Well, I sent the 2 in for the first round, so I will be checking with the other instructor to see if she's willing to do another round if you want to do that. And I had a thought, but it went out of my brain.
Okay.
I'll see if it comes. Oh, what I was going to say is, though, for those of us who are rolling to virtual, then, you know, if my Wyoming people don't fill up, because our board chose reflective leadership with Dr. Whips for our WAMCAT Institute, for those who didn't get it nationally, if it's still open, they could, and Dr. Whips would do another section if I asked him to. So, you know, that could be some good marketing to drive people to your own institutes, even if you only offer a few sessions.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And part of the appeal, I guess, in my opinion, anyways, just my humble opinion here, part of the appeal of participating in this is you're exposing your institute to an audience of 15,000 members. Yes, we're only going to see 100 of them, but you have the opportunity to say, hey, here's who we are, here's what we do, here's what we're about. We are going to be offering a virtual institute this fall. You are all invited. Come. So if you don't get Wyoming members to fill up all those seats and you still have spots available, obviously we don't want to give them content that isn't specific to their state in terms of rules, regulations, things like that. But if it's something that would benefit you, would benefit the members, then by all means, open it up and let everybody come in and attend if you have it. So it's just a really good way to expose your programming to another group of people. So definitely something that you have the opportunity to say, hey, you're welcome to come, you're invited. If you liked this session, Dr. Whips is going to be doing another one, etc. So think about that. It's good marketing for your institute too. Regardless of whether they see your session or not, they can at least see the content topic that you're going to be delivering and hear the excitement from the other members. Okay. What else, you guys? Anything else? I know we're at that hour mark and didn't want to keep this more than an hour unless you guys want to stay on. I'm happy to talk, but I know we're all busy. And if there's reason you got to pop off, by all means, go for it. But I want to make sure that you have all your questions answered before you, one, make a decision whether you want to participate or not. But two, if you do want to participate, before you start planning your session, I want you to rest assured that we will take as good of care of you as we possibly can, support you in any way that we can, even if it's not in a way we've discussed so far. Again, we're open to learning, to trying things, to be new and innovative with you. We just need your help. We need your partnerships. So feel free to let me know if there's any questions, you guys. All right.
Ashley, so if I, just making sure I heard you correctly, you would like institute or proposal forms by next week sometime, end of next week?
Yeah, it would be really nice to have them by the end of next week. I've obviously this week would be ideal, but I know that's pushing it. So it takes me about 2-3 days to really sort through them all and go, okay, this one would be good. And then this one would be nice to follow. This one needs this date. So just to get the lineup set, it takes me a couple of days to sort all that out. So the sooner the better, but at the latest, just to give us the opportunity to start advertising it within a reasonable amount of time. Next Friday, I would need to look up the date. If anybody has it.
The week of the 20th or whatever,
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. Yeah, and then what I'm aiming for is an August 5th start date. Again, we're flexible. So if we don't have the sessions nailed down by then, we can push it back. There's no written in stone, be all, end all, that's our timeline. So if for some reason it doesn't work out and we just don't have everything ready by then, we can push it back by a week to whatever we need to. Okay. All right, you guys, if there's any other questions when you get off of the call here today, just email me. Feel free to shoot that over. I will get back to you as soon as I can. But otherwise, I hope to see you guys all in round 2. And I appreciate you just taking the hour out of your day to sit and listen and collaborate with us and idea exchange. It has been my pleasure. And I look forward to working with you guys on this program, hopefully in the next couple weeks.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. Have a great day. We will see you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Sarah.
Bye.
Thank you. It was great to hear all the great things about the Wyoming speaker so far. So I was like, woohoo! Right on. Good, Sarah. Thanks.
Yep, absolutely. See you later, Angie.